Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Today is a very auspicious day. Today is the appearance day of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Maharaj. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Maharaj ki jai. So we'll be singing one bhajan by Narottam Das Thakur. It's known as A Bara Karuna Koro. And it's on the screen. You can follow. It's not so difficult. Ebara karuna karo Vaishnava Gosai. Ebara karuna karo Vaishnava Gosai. Evara karuna karo Vaishnava Gosai. Evara karuna karo Patita pavana toma bine ki honai. Patita pavana Patita pavana toma bine ki honai. Ta pavana toma jaharani kate gele पाप दूरे जाए. जाहरनी कटे गेले पाप दूरे जाए. एमोना दयाला प्रभु केवा कोटा पाय. एमोना दयाला प्रभु केवा कोटा पाय. गंगार पारस हইলে पाशाते पावान. गंगार पारस हইলে पाशाते पावान. दर्शने पवित्र करो ए तोमार गुण. दर्शने पवित्र करो ए तोमार गुण. हरिस्थाने अपराधे तारे हरि नाम। हरिस्थाने अपराधे तारे हरि नाम। तुम स्थाने अपराधे नहीं परित्राण। तुम स्थाने अपराधे नहीं परित्राण। तुम स्थाने अपराधे नहीं परित्राण। तुम्हार हृदय सदा गोविंद विश्राम। तुम्हार हृदय सदा, तुम्हार हृदय सदा गोविंद विश्राम। गोविंद को है न मोरा वैष्णव परान। गोविंद को है न मोरा वैष्णव परान। प्रति जन्मे कोरियाश चरणेर धूली। प्रति जन्मे कोरियाश चरणेर धूली। नरोत्तमे करो दया आप नर बोली। नरोत्तमे करो दया आप नर बोली। जय वैष्णव ठाकुर, वैष्णव ठाकुर, वैष्णव ठाकुर, जय वैष्णव ठाकुर, जय वैष्णव ठाकुर। जय वैष्णव ठाकुर, जय वैष्णव ठाकुर, वैष्णव ठाकुर, जय वैष्णव ठाकुर। जय प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपाद। जय प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपाद। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सतश्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सतश्री श्रीमद भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। दैलाशे श्री राधा राधानाथ की जय। श्री गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। श्रीमन महाप्रभु की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All grace the simple devotees, all grace the simple devotees, all grace the simple devotees, all grace to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. We will read the translation for this wonderful bhajan by Vaishnav, by Narottam Das Thakur on E Bara Karuna Koro. O Vaishnav Goswami, please be merciful to me now. There is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Where does anyone find such a merciful personality by whose mere audience all sins go far away? After bathing in the waters of the sacred Ganges many times, one becomes purified. But just by the sight of you, the fallen souls are purified. This is your great power. The holy name delivers one who has committed an offense to Lord Hari. But if one commits an offense to you, there is no means of deliverance. Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda. And Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are in my heart. I desire the dust of your holy feet in every birth I may take. Please consider Narottam yours and be kind upon him. Vaishnav Thakur ki jai. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangstam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangstam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaham Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Namine Hare Krishna. So as we are celebrating the most auspicious appearance day of His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 530 years ago and he established the Yuga Dharma for this age, the chanting of the holy names. He came to give loving devotional service to the residents of Kali Yuga. And after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he instructed his disciples, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, to put everything in writing and to spread. He was known as the 7th Goswami. He reinstated the original teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was fighting very much with all these other so-called followers of Mahaprabhu who were taking all his teachings very cheaply and doing things that were not in line with Mahaprabhu's teachings. And in this fight, he was praying to the Lord, please send me one of your assistants to help me spread this movement of Mahaprabhu. He was praying in this way, and the answer to his prayers was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was born as an answer to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers, and he is also known, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is known as a ray of Vishnu. So through the prayers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took his appearance on this planet on the 6th of February 1874. He was given the name Bimal Prasad. Right? And he took birth in Puri, Jagannath Puri. That time Bhaktivinoda Thakur was stationed there. And what was peculiar about his appearance was that he came with divine marks. His umbilical cord was wrapped around him like a Brahmin thread. And so therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur knew this is the answer to my prayers. He is that ray of Vishnu I have been asking for. And in this way, when he was 6 months old, there was Ratha Yatra festival in Jagannath Puri. And as the Rath was coming down the road, it reached Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house and refused to move from there. For 3 days, the Rath was there. No matter how much people tried, the devotees were trying, pushing, pulling, the Rath was not moving. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he told his wife, please bring our son for darshan, because the Rath has stopped for so long. Let him take the opportunity of getting the darshan of Jagannath. And so as the baby was brought in front of Lord Jagannath, 6-month-old baby, Lord Jagannath's garland fell from him onto the baby. And so in this way, Bhima Prasad was blessed by Jagannath himself. When he was 4 years old, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a very strict rule in his house. No one can take anything or eat anything that is not prasad. So he had gone to the market and he brought a whole bunch of mangoes and placed them on the table as he was going to do some other errand. And young Bimal Prasad, he saw these mangoes on the table and immediately he went and grabbed one, and they were nice, succulent, ripe mangoes, and he put it in his mouth. And the father returned and he mildly scolded Bimal Prasad. He said, don't you know, this was not prasadam. I had not yet offered and you have eaten it, so you have now taken, bhoga instead of prasad. You should not do this. At the age of 4, Bimal Prasad made a vow never to eat ripe mangoes in his life ever again. He said, I have become an offender to the Lord. I accepted what was meant for His pleasure and I took it on my own self. Therefore, I have become an offender. I will never ever eat a ripe mango. 4-year-old boy. He had such determination. He never would accept ripe mangoes. Then when there was some construction Bhaktivinoda Thakur was doing in Bengal, because they moved back to West Bengal. Right? And there, while doing the construction, as they were digging the piece of land that they wanted to construct in, a Kurma deity manifested. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Bimal Prasad. He was only 7 years old. And he gave him initiation and he instructed him how to worship this deity. So from 7 years old, Bimal Prasad was worshipping the Kurma deity. Not only that, when he was 7 years old, he knew the entire Bhagavad Gita. He had memorized it completely. And so, in this way, as he went to school, he even invented a new style of writing, shorthand writing, that was known as Bikanto. And later on, this style of writing became known as Vikanta. So, Bikanto is the Bengali pronunciation. And so, then later on, he was that expert. He was expert in linguists, in language, and in scholarly circles, he was recognized as a great scholar. So in this way, Bimal Prasad was very, very intelligent, very learned. When his father often would receive Bhaktivinoda Thakur's guru, would often come home. And that guru, he would have the habit of putting his feet on Bhaktivinoda Thakur's head. So one time, Bimal Prasad saw this and he challenged that guru. He said, do you have sufficient potency to put your feet on my father's head? Bhaktivinoda Thakur was, relax. Yeah. But he challenged the guru. He said, no, you don't have enough power to put your feet on my father's head. So from that day, the guru stopped. When he was for the Annaprasana ceremony, that means the first grain ceremony, when he was 6 months old, there is usually a ceremony where the parents, they put various items in front of the child. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had put some coins, Bhagavatam set, some other paraphernalia that was there. And Bimal Prasad immediately went for the Bhagavatam. He had grabbed the Bhagavatam and he was embracing the Bhagavatam. That's when they knew that this child of ours is a very, very great devotee. Bimal Prasad then was instructed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur to take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. And this was in the 1900. He was told, go take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. When he went to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji initially told him, I am an illiterate person. I don't even know how to write. I don't know how to read. You are such a great scholar. How is this possible that you can become my disciple? But the humility of Bimal Prasad was so high. He said, no. You are the only one I will accept as my guru, as my spiritual master. So therefore, please accept me. Seeing this humility, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he was very pleased. But then he said, I will ask Mahaprabhu, because I have taken a vow, I don't want any disciples. But since you have come, and your father has sent you, and your father is my guru, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj's guru, he said, I will ask Mahaprabhu. You come after a few days. So some sources say Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructed Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, his name was Bimal Prasad at that time, that you take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das. And he went like this, some sources say 3 times, but others they say many times he went. So after a few days when he went back to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Babaji Maharaj told him, oh, I forgot to ask. Sorry. You come after a few days, I will ask Mahaprabhu. So after a few days he came. Babaji Maharaj again said, I asked but I got no reply. Mahaprabhu didn't tell me anything. So you come later. So in this way, repeatedly, he would come after a few days, Bimal Prasad, ask for initiation, and Babaji Maharaj would give some sort of excuse. I didn't get a reply, I forgot to ask, right? And in this way, he continually told Bimal Prasad, you come later. So this happened a lot of times until Bimal Prasad, he came to Babaji Maharaj and he told him, if you do not give me initiation, I have come so many times, you are refusing to give me initiation, that means I am so worthless. I am not going to maintain my life anymore. If you refuse today, I will go to the Ganga and drown myself. What is the point of living if I cannot become your disciple? And so Babaji Maharaj, he thought, no, Bimal Prasad is still, is just saying. But then he saw Bimal Prasad was running towards the Ganga, ready to drown himself. Then Babaji Maharaj relented and he said, yes, please come, I will give you initiation. So he only had one disciple and that was Bimal Prasad. He was initiated by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj in the 1900s. He had already gotten the title of Siddhanta Sarasvati, because in his school days he was such a great scholar of astronomy and astrology that he wrote his own book on astronomy and astrology. It was known as Surya Siddhanta. And seeing this, all the other scholars, they gave him that title, Siddhanta Sarasvati. Right? And when he got initiation, then he was known as Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati. So after initiation, he took a vow. In order to prepare himself for preaching, he took a vow of chanting 1 billion names of the Lord. He did this in Mayapur. He stayed in a small hut. He only ate once in the day, and that was also just rice without salt. And he did severe austerity. He was chanting 300,000 names of the Lord every single day for 10 years. That's when he completed his vow of chanting 1 billion names. And even during the rain, he would sit in the hut and the thatch had some leakages, so rain would enter, but he would be chanting with an umbrella in one hand and the bead bag in the other hand. He would continue chanting. This was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, really determined, and he wanted to finish his vow. When he came from chanting, there was a debate organized by some people in Midnapur. And they had actually invited Bhaktivinoda Thakur to represent the Vaishnavas. Because in this debate, the challengers were saying that Vaishnavas are lower than the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas are higher. And so in order to settle this for once and for all, they had organized this debate and they had asked Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you please come. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur at that time was very, very sick. And so Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he wrote an article for that debate. And he had put various points from all the Shastras in that article. And he showed that article to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur read that article, he said, very nice. Instead, you go. You go for this debate in Midnapur. And so there, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur went and he was hearing all these Brahmanas quoting that how the Brahmanas are the highest, they're the most dearest to the Lord. And then when it came turn for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to speak, he also spoke in the same vein. He was glorifying the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas were very happy, thinking, oh yes, see, yes, he's quoting from the Shastra, he's quoting our position, our authority, very nice. They were very happy. But then as he went along, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur just twisted the whole debate around. And he showed that Brahmana means by qualification and not by birth. And he started giving all examples on this. And he said, a Shudra who is displaying the qualities of a Brahmana and is engaged in Brahminical work, he is to be considered a Brahmana, not a Brahmana who's born in a family and who's acting like a Shudra. And so immediately all those Brahmanas who had smiles on their faces initially all became morose. And conclusively, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established that the Vaishnavas are greater than so-called Smarta Brahmanas. And all the audience that was in that debate, they all rose and gave a standing ovation to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And everyone went there to congratulate him. And all these other Brahmanas who had been speaking, they quietly just left from the crowd, not to be seen again. So that was the great Midnapur debate that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur challenged all these Brahmanas. He was very vocal with the Sahajiyas as well. As I mentioned, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was fighting with the Sahajiyas always because he wanted to establish the real teachings of Mahaprabhu. And that time there were many types of Sahajiyas, many sects, Aul, Baul, Gauranga Nagari, all these kind of various sects of Sahajiyas were there. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also was very much vocal against them. So one time there was a Sammelan. Sammelan means a meeting done for all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And this was in Kasim Bazar. The king there, his name was Maharaj Nandi. So he called all these different Vaishnavas. He was thinking he's doing a Vaishnava Sammelan. And he called all these Vaishnavas, and amongst them, even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj was called. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur reached the Sammelan, on the request of this Maharaj Nandi, he had come. But he's seen that this Maharaj had called all the others as well. All the other Sahajiyas. The Aul, Bauls, Gauranga Nagaris, Karta Bhajanas, all these, they were all there. He got so upset. It's like, I'll have to spend a few days with these people? I don't even want to see them. They're not representing Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And he was so upset. For 4 days, he never drank anything, nor did he eat anything. He fasted completely. He was in this Sammelan, just out of respect for the Maharaj, he was there, but he did not want to be there and he did not want to partake in anything doing with all these Sahajiyas. He left from there without drinking anything. And when he returned to Mayapur, then he broke his fast. And this Maharaj, he got the news. His people told him that, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati didn't even drink water for 4 days. So he felt so bad this Maharaj, that he went back to Mayapur and he fell at Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's feet and asked for forgiveness. And there, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him that, see, these Sahajiyas, they are not to be associated with. And they were giving a lot of trouble. The Sahajiyas were giving a lot of trouble. Right? And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at one point, he got so upset with the whole situation that there are so many Sahajiyas, they're preaching the wrong thing, they're misleading people. He got so upset, he said, I don't need to do this. I don't want to be with them. He decided to do solitary bhajan, and he retreated himself into his quarters and he was just chanting. He was so upset with everything. And as he was chanting, after a few days, before him, Mahaprabhu came with the 6 Goswamis. They appeared before him and they told him, do not be disheartened. Don't worry. You go and preach our message. We are with you. And so seeing this darshan of Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur became very inspired, and he left his solitary bhajan and he started preaching vigorously against all these Sahajiyas and all the impersonalists. So much so, he was known as Simha Guru, Lion Guru. And impersonalists would be afraid. They would see him coming from one side of the street, and if they're on the same stride, they would cross to the other side. Because he would catch them and he would shake them. And he would tell them, you are preaching this Mayavad and this Mayavad is wrong. Yeah, he was known as that, and so therefore they didn't want to be caught and shook, so they would cross the road. They would not want to come in contact with the Lion Guru. There was another debate held, and there, by that time, they had known Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is, no one can defeat him. So they called him, but before the debate, they went and told him, see, you cannot speak from the Gita or the Bhagavatam. So Saraswati Thakur said, okay, fine. Yeah. Then they went back. Then after some time, they came again and they said, you can also not speak from Ramayana or Mahabharata, the Itihasas. He said, okay, fine, I'll not speak from the Itihasas. They went. After a few minutes, they came back. They said, look, you can only speak from the Vedanta Sutra, no other book. So Saraswati Thakur said, fine, I'll speak from the Vedanta Sutra. They went back. After a few minutes, they came back. They said, see, sorry, the debate has been cancelled. Because those who were there, they knew that even from Vedanta Sutra, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will defeat us. So they said, no need to, embarrass ourselves. Let's just cancel the debate. And so they cancelled the entire debate. So in this way, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he took sannyas in 1918. Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who was no longer on the planet, but sitting in front of Babaji Maharaj's picture, he took sannyas in 1918. And he established very many printing presses. And he called these printing presses, there's one big one at Ultadanga in Kolkata. He called them Brihat Mridanga. Because he was saying, this one mridanga, you can hear it for a block or maybe 2 blocks if it's a very loud mridanga. But this Brihat Mridanga will be able to be heard in the whole world. And he started a publication, Nadia Prakash, a newspaper, daily newspaper. And so one person came and asked him that, how is it that you started this spiritual newspaper? It was known as Harmonist. How come will you be able to give news every single day, or will it be a publication, a daily publication? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur replied, if in such a small insignificant city like Kolkata, there are so many newspapers, and this whole material world is a quarter of the entire creation, 3/4 is spiritual world, there is so much news more in the spiritual world. We will be able to do a daily publication. And so in this way, he continued with his publication. In 1922, we know a few boys came to see him in Kolkata at that Ulta Danga place. And among these boys there was one boy named Abhay. And as soon as Abhay came in the room where Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was sitting, he paid his obeisances, and even before he could rise up, immediately the order was given, you are young, educated boys, you should preach the message of Mahaprabhu in English to the Western countries. And so then Abhay decided, no, how is this possible? We are still colonized by foreigners, and until we get independence for India, then only can we do, this preaching. Then immediately Saraswati Thakur, he told these boys, what is the question of independence? There is no independence in this material world. You'll be independent from the British, but you'll still be dependent on the laws of nature. And so therefore, preaching should not wait for independence. And in this way, he defeated Abhay. And as soon as Abhay left from there, we know that he did not want to go and see. Abhay, when he was young, so many sadhus were coming to his house. And he knew them as, half of them were over, pretentious sadhus, dongi babas he would call them. So he wasn't very much interested in seeing sadhus. He said all these sadhus, because at that time Sahajiyas were very, very strong. They were very strong. They were pushing their agenda very much. And so Abhay wasn't very much enthusiastic to meet yet another sadhu. But his friend Narayan, he had dragged him there. And so after this first meeting, Narayan asked him, so what do you think? He said, yes, he is perfect sadhu. He is representing the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And from that point only, Abhay had accepted Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur as his guru. So in this way, he kept contact with Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established 64 Gaudiya Maths all over India. Not only that, he had brought a lot of innovation in his preaching. He told his sannyasi disciples, you wear coats because the Western countries, they are cold. There's winter, there's snow, there's so much. He said, doesn't matter, you wear coats. You wear long sleeve coats with buttons on them, no problem. Before that, the sannyasis would not wear stitched clothes or clothes with buttons. So once someone has taken sannyas, then it's just the uttari and the dhoti, and that's it. Right? But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told his disciples, no, you wear coats, no problem. And told them, you also travel by car. Before that, sannyasis would not be traveling by car. They would go walking everywhere. And he said, not only that, you also cross the oceans. So sannyasis would not cross the ocean also. So he gave this leeway to his sannyas disciples. You travel by car, you go abroad, you wear coats, but preach. So in this way he sent his disciples to Burma. That time it was known as Burma, today it's known as Myanmar. Right? And also to England and Germany. His disciples had gone these places, and Gaudiya Math was established everywhere. In this way, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur brought a lot of innovation to preaching. He also commissioned artists to make dioramas and animatronics. You can see some of these in Mayapur, in the Chaitanya Ashram, they're there. Right? At that time, it was something very new, very novel way of preaching. He would arrange all these dioramas so that people would come and it was like a museum that they could come and get to know about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One time, he even invited the British Lord who was in that area to come for a program. And in that program, he even arranged for some meat for that British Lord to have. Because he had invited him, he arranged even for some meat. He said, let him have his meat, no problem, but let him hear the message of Mahaprabhu. Yeah. So this was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's preaching. Very, very powerful. One time, there was a person who was living in Kolkata, but he developed a desire to become a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His name was Rohini Kumar Ghosh. So he decided, let me leave Kolkata and go to Mayapur to become a devotee of Mahaprabhu. But he got into contact with the Baul sect. So the Sahajiyas, there is one sect of Sahajiya called Baul. So he was with them and he was thinking he's becoming a follower of Mahaprabhu. But then he started seeing what these Bauls are doing. And he said, no, I'm in the wrong place. But then he was thinking, but how I can give up my guru? So he went to sleep very disturbed, thinking, I'm now in the wrong place. What will happen? How do I get to know about Mahaprabhu? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came in his dream that night. And he showed Rohini Kumar Ghosh that his Baul guru and his guru had a mistress. So how they both turned into tigers and were coming for him. In the dream, he's showing this Baul guru and his mistress, they turned into a tiger and a tigress and they were running after him. And then in that dream, he showed him how he saved Rohini Kumar. How Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur saved Rohini Kumar from these tigers. So when he woke up, he understood, I have to go to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he went there immediately and he took shelter of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur then gave initiation to Srila Prabhupada in 1933. And during his stay in Mayapur, the time there was a monsoon season and it was Janmashtami. The day before Janmashtami, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very, very worried. He said, we have Janmashtami tomorrow and I have no milk to give to the Lord. Because everything was flooded. There was floods everywhere. Even few years back, like up to year 2010, the floods would come. And the whole place gets flooded. Mayapur gets flooded. So even that time, there were many floods. So there was no milk. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was thinking, oh, how will I offer milk to Lord Krishna tomorrow for Janmashtami? And as he was thinking this, he saw there was a person wading through the floods. He was carrying milk, yogurt, ghee, and he brought all that to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, where has this come from? He said, no, one businessman in Kolkata, he got a dream that Mahaprabhu told him, send milk to Mayapur. So that's why I have brought it. So immediately, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur started praying to the Lord. He said, oh my Lord, please forgive me. I developed this desire to offer you milk, but I took service from you. I should have not developed such a desire. That you had to come yourself to fulfill this desire. So in this way, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur taught that we should do Krishna's seva. Lord Krishna should not do our seva. We should not engage the Lord in our own seva. One time he was sitting on a train and in that same train there was a big Mayavadi guru. And the Mayavadi guru was preaching that we are all same as Lord Krishna and we are one with him. And Saraswati Thakur Maharaj was very, very disturbed by this preaching of this so-called guru. And so someone had offered him some mangoes, ripe mangoes, few days back. And disciples had carried because they were like, always in that hope that maybe one day Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur will eat the mango. But he never ate. And so it was very hot on the train. They were traveling for a few days and the mangoes got rotten. And this guru was there preaching so much, Mayavad philosophy, Advaita philosophy, yes, we are all one, we are Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, this, that. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur got so irritated, he told his disciples, give all these rotten mangoes to that guru. So they went with all the rotten mangoes there and they offered it to him. So he understood, because he's saying everything is one, so even a rotten mango and a ripe mango is all the same, they should eat it. So he understood and from this rotten mangoes, they were smelling so much in his compartment. He got woken up from his illusion. And immediately the Guru came and he surrendered to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and he became a Vaishnava. One time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was translating and writing something on his desk. And on the other desk opposite him, there were some bananas. And monkeys came and they took the bananas and they were running. And as soon as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj saw this, he immediately jumped up from his desk. Even the ink that was there, it spilt over. And he started chasing the monkeys and saying, hey, return those bananas, return those bananas. Then the disciples told him, Guru Maharaj, why are you doing like this? It's just 2 bananas. They ran away with. He said, no, those bananas were Srimati Radharani's. How dare they take them? This was his mood. And as he established his mutts, he had many disciples. He had even instructed the disciples, you go study Ramakrishna mission, see how all the brahmacharis are staying there, and we'll do the similar thing with our. Before that, there was no ashram. There was no institution for Krishna consciousness. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was preaching Namahata, but there was no institution. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur institutionalized Krishna consciousness. Because he saw Ramakrishna mission, how because of that institute they were preaching their agenda and they were getting so many people to join the ashrams. He said, no, we also have to do the same. And so therefore he institutionalized Krishna consciousness by forming the Gaudiya Math mission. And he had ashrams where the brahmacharis would come and stay. And in one such ashram there was a cook. He would be cooking for the devotees and he would be cooking for the deities, but this cook was a fighter. Nobody liked him. He was fighting with every single devotee. Yeah. Nobody liked him. You have those, anyone who's lived in an ashram, we know, right? You always have that one person who comes and he's always fighting with everyone. Yeah. So this cook was always fighting, but somehow or other, he passed away and the devotees were relieved. They were like, oh, good riddance. He was so much of a nonsense, he was so much trouble he was bringing. But when they told Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that this devotee has passed away, he knew this devotee was troublesome. He was always fighting with everyone. But then all he said was he always wore a very clean dhoti for his service. This was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's consciousness. He never saw the bad. He always saw the good. In this devotee who everyone was fed up with, still Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said no. For his seva, he always wore a very, very clean dhoti. He was always there, ready with a clean dhoti. In this way, he always saw the good. And one time, the donors would obviously give him lots of donations over time. One time 2 donors were sitting in for his class and they were talking. And Saraswati Thakur immediately scolded them. He said, do you think by giving your donation you have purchased me? Just because you are giving donation you can speak during class? The donors were like, what happened here? He was very, very strong. His principles. He had taken another vow of never touching money. After sannyas, he never touched money. Whenever someone would bring any donation, it would be dealt with by the disciples. He never personally touched any money. And in 1918, when he wanted to register the Gaudiya Math, it was such an urgency that he travelled from Mayapur to Kolkata. He reached Kolkata at 4 p.m. And one of his disciples was a lawyer. He reached that lawyer's house at 4 p.m. and he told them, today and today we have to register Gaudiya Math. So in that short afternoon, they put all the papers together and he got Gaudiya Math registered in that same afternoon and went back to Mayapur. That's how fast he was. And when this whole movement was there for the independence of India, one of the key players was Subhash Chandra Bose. Many people say he is the reason India got independence, not Gandhiji. Gandhiji was on a different agenda, but Subhash Chandra Bose, he was the one who was working behind the scenes and got the independence for India. So his father had come to see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was preaching to him and told him, at least become vegetarian, because he was a non-veg. He said, no, who will cook for me at home? Nobody knows this, For Bengalis, fish is joler phal, the vegetable of the ocean. Yeah, they say this is fish is also vegetable, just coming from the ocean, not from the ground. Yeah. So this father of Subhash Chandra Bose, he was going back and forth. No, I want to do it, but it's very difficult. My cooks and all that, it's just a whole headache. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, you become a vegetarian, I will give prasad every day. So he agreed. He said, okay, if you're sending prasad every day, then I'll become vegetarian. And so he told his disciples, every day you make sure the tiffin goes to Subhash Chandra Bose's father's house. And every day they would take the tiffin for 10 years. This happened. After 10 years he passed away. But for 10 years, continually, every day, tiffin would go to Subhash Chandra Bose's father's house from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In this way, with great enthusiasm, he was preaching Krishna consciousness. And as the final moments arrived, very early in the morning, January 1st, this was in 1937, his final instructions to his disciples were that you preach the message of Rupa and Raghunath with enthusiasm, and you all get together, form a governing body commission, and push this movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further and further. In this way, he disappeared on January 1st, 1937 at 5:30 a.m. And at 5:30 a.m., all the clocks in that house, they stopped. They didn't continue. Exactly the time he disappeared, all the clocks stopped. So in this way, we know that unfortunately, the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur could not get together and form a governing body commission. And so Srila Prabhupada, seeing that his god brothers are not fulfilling the message of his spiritual master, he decided to form a separate society, which we are in today, the ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And then he formed the GBC to be in line with his Guru's orders. So the greatest contribution of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wrote very many articles, had many publications, taught Gaudiya Vaishnavism to everyone, preached very vigorously with novel ideas, and he also gave us Srila Prabhupada. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada often used to say that whatever preaching I have done is all the mercy of my spiritual master. It's him who is preaching, we are just instruments. So in this way, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur showed what it means to dedicate one's whole life to the service of Krishna. He wasn't scared of preaching. Many times we find, as practicing devotees, we want to go somewhere, we say, no, let us not go in dhoti, let us not go in kurta, let us, not go in tilak. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was fearless. He would go, doesn't matter who it is, big guru doesn't matter. He would even shake him. He was very fearless. So let us pray today on this most auspicious occasion of his appearance day, that he can bless us with the shelter of his lotus feet, that he can bless us with a particle of that devotion and dedication he has to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that he can bless us with the courage to preach Krishna consciousness against all odds. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Avirbhav Mahotsav ki jai. Tai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions or comments, Prabhu, if you want to add anything. Thank you. Hare Krishna.